Mercedes is back in the race, but can it truly challenge Red Bull in Europe, where Red Bull is expected to dominate again? George Russell has dropped some hints about a secret weapon Red Bull might be using for the upcoming European races. This revelation has fans and experts buzzing with excitement and curiosity. What is this secret weapon, and how might it give Red Bull the edge? Let's dive into this video today to find out more about Russell's intriguing hints and what they mean for the European races. George Russell believes that Mercedes has made significant progress, narrowing the gap with McLaren and Ferrari. He anticipates that Mercedes will now frequently compete with these two F1 rivals. However, Russell expects Red Bull to extend their lead when F1 returns to European circuits. During the Canadian Grand Prix, Mercedes competed strongly against both McLaren and Red Bull. Russell surprised everyone by claiming pole position with a lap time identical to Max Verstappen's. Although he led the race in the opening stint, a few minor errors saw him drop to fifth in the final stages. Despite this, Russell managed to finish on the podium and nearly secured second place. Russell acknowledges that despite their recent struggles, Red Bull still managed to win 2 of the last 3 races. He anticipates that their advantage will be more pronounced when F1 returns to Europe. Red Bull has had a very tough time during the last races, but still they won 2 of the last 3, Russell told select media, including Racing News 365. So I expect them to make a move soon when we go back to Europe and the traditional circuits. Mercedes improvement real. The Canadian Grand Prix was a hugely positive event for Mercedes, with the team consistently performing towards the top in most sessions, if not at the very top. Recent upgrades, including a new front wing, have significantly boosted the W15's performance. This improvement has convinced George Russell that regularly competing with McLaren and Ferrari is now a realistic goal. Mercedes driver George Russell anticipates that Red Bull will return to top form soon. Despite a slight dip in performance recently, which allowed McLaren and Ferrari to secure victories in Miami and Monaco, respectively, Russell expects Red Bull to bounce back. Red Bull showed ominous pace during pre-season testing and in the first 2 rounds of the season, but their closest rivals, Ferrari and McLaren, have managed to close the gap and have already snatched 2 victories from the Milton Keynes-based team. The Woking-based McLaren squad triumphed in Miami, while Ferrari stole the show in Melbourne and Monaco. In the last 3 rounds, Mercedes has shown clear signs of improved performance thanks to a focused development push. This enhanced pace enabled George Russell to claim his first pole position of the year in Canada and secure Mercedes' first podium finish on the following day. Despite the recent shift in the pecking order, Russell believes that Red Bull might return to dominant form when the second European leg of the season kicks off at next weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. I think Red Bull have struggled a little bit the last couple of races, yet they've still won 2 of the last 3, Russell noted. So I expect them to probably take a small step when we go back to the European races on more conventional circuits. Russell is optimistic about Mercedes' recent performance improvements, particularly in their fight against McLaren and Ferrari. I really think our performance step is true and it's real. I think we can be in this fight with McLaren. Let's hope we can continue being in the fight with Max. And let's see, with Ferrari, they obviously had a bit of an off weekend, he said. Hopefully we can further fuel that fight with Max and Ferrari as well, although Ferrari didn't have a good weekend right now. Russell acknowledged Red Bull's recent challenges. I think Red Bull have had... It's no secret they've struggled a bit with their car these last 3 races, so I think we need to see how their performance turns out in Barcelona, which is a little bit more of a conventional circuit. The team anticipated Mercedes' recent performance boost, thanks to simulations predicting a significant step forward with their upgrades. But this pace increase that we've seen from us this weekend, it hasn't been a surprise to us because all the numbers back at the factory told us we're going to be finding a big chunk of performance with these upgrades, Russell explained. So Barcelona is going to be interesting for everybody, but I'm confident we can be in the fight. During the Canadian Grand Prix, Russell faced various on-track battles due to variable conditions, culminating in a fight for the 3rd podium spot with teammate Lewis Hamilton. Russell praised Hamilton, describing him as fair and one of the greatest. Reflecting on the race, he said, "Those last 3 laps I was so focused on getting back on the podium because I felt like I let the team down a bit, just losing sight of Max and a few mistakes that put me in that position in the first place. And always with Lewis, it's really hard and fair." "When you're racing with one of the greats, you know you can trust them," Russell said. "Fighting with Lewis is very hard, but fair. You can trust that person, and that was really great to see at the end," he concluded. Mercedes' secret weapon. Mercedes' recent front wing upgrade has marked a significant turning point in their Formula One performance. Adopting a concept pioneered by Red Bull since the 2022 regulation changes, this new advancement could make Mercedes a contender for victory every race weekend. Tom Clarkson, host of the F1 Nation podcast, referred to the upgrade as a eureka moment for Mercedes, dramatically enhancing their competitiveness. He explained the technical nuances involved. "Undoubtedly, it's all about the flexi front wing. Staying within the regulations, there is a load that the front wing has to carry. It is not allowed to flex more than a certain amount with that load on it. As long as it passes that test, it can do whatever it wants beyond that. Red Bull nailed that from the start of these regulations. Mercedes nailed it down. It's been an eureka moment for them. They have now found it. I think it's really exciting going forward for Formula One." The immediate impact of Mercedes' front wing upgrade was evident during qualifying at the Canadian GP, where George Russell and reigning champion Max Verstappen posted identical lap times. Russell secured P3, with teammate Lewis Hamilton close behind in P4. This performance underscored Mercedes' newfound competitiveness, heightening anticipation for upcoming races. Looking ahead to the race in Barcelona, Tom Clarkson remains cautiously optimistic about Mercedes' chances, while acknowledging the strengths of other teams, such as McLaren, and the consistent front-runner, Red Bull. Who is going to win in Barcelona? Probably Red Bull will be stronger. But McLaren is so good now. Mercedes are coming on. It was confirmation from Mercedes in Montreal. I think they are back. They are not yet on the level on a high-speed track of Red Bull, but they are certainly back and will be contenders every weekend, Clarkson opined. Clarkson reflected on how minute strategic adaptations could significantly influence race outcomes, indicating a more competitive field where the traditional dominance of top teams is no longer assured. With a small change in the trajectory of the race, any one of the top 3 could have won. If Lando Norris reacted to the safety car and came in when everyone else came in, he would have won that race. The competitive spirit is palpable among the drivers too, as Clarkson noted a shift in attitude. Now the drivers feel that we can compete with this guy. The feeling in the pit lane is different. The determination of Lando, Oscar, Lewis and George is different. Adding to the buzz, Natalie Pinkham highlighted the potential unpredictability of the upcoming Spanish Grand Prix. Barcelona will be so revealing because it's a track with a bit of everything. It's so exciting for fans because there could be 8 cars fighting for pole and for victory. As the Formula One season progresses, the improvements made by Mercedes not only spice up the competition, but also promise a thrilling spectacle for fans, with every race potentially offering a new victor. The narrative around Formula One is rapidly evolving and is brilliant to witness. So, what do you think of Red Bull's secret weapon for European races? Comment below your views and subscribe for more.